Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Combat Corner, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts of the content. We're talking Canelo Crawford, man. Checked out that fight on Saturday night. 41 million people apparently watched it on Netflix. I don't know if that number is real or not because they claim that Jake Paul's Mike Tyson fight did 125 million. I damn sure don't believe that number is real. So, I thought the Canelo and Crawford would do more than a real boxing match would do more than a fake one, a exhibition of sorts. But apparently, that's what's supposedly going out there is that it was 41 million, and the Jake Paul one against Mike Tyson did 125. Again, don't really care. What we saw in this fight, I mean, God dog, what an impressive performance by Terence Crawford. In my preview video, I picked Canelo to win. A year ago when they were talking about this fight, year and a half ago, when they were talking about this fight, I was like, this is craziness. This is a massive weight increase. And when you're dealing with weight differences like this, they make weight classes for a reason. You're typically not going to see a guy who's 20 pounds lighter jump up and not just win, but I thought Terence Crawford kind of physically dominated the fight too. He moved around a lot. He was obviously using his quickness, his agility and speed. But when they had exchanges, he won the exchanges. Now, there weren't a whole bunch of exchanges, but when he had them, he won those exchanges, in my opinion. And that, to me, is what was very telling in this particular fight. Like I said, a year ago when I heard about the fight, I'm sitting here saying, I don't know how Crawford beats this dude. There's a physical size difference, but then as the fight was coming along and they're saying it's going to happen and they're having these press conferences and you're seeing Terence Crawford facing off with Canelo and you're seeing that first Crawford's taller, but now you're seeing Crawford thicken up. You can see he was getting stronger physically, lifting weights, putting on muscle. At the same time, then you have the question, will he maintain his speed ability and his speed advantage? Because Canelo's going to plod along. And that's what he's always done. Even against, the Charlo fight, he was plodding along until you know what happened. But in that Charlo fight, we never saw Charlo, moving around a lot. He didn't control pace of the fight. And we saw Terence Crawford completely control pace of the fight. Round one, I'm sitting here saying, yo, if Terence Crawford can keep up this pace and keep his movement for 12 rounds, he's going to win the fight. And in my preview, I had picked Canelo to win via decision. I didn't think he'd knock Crawford out, but I thought eventually he'd touch him up with the power, and I thought he'd wear him down. I thought Crawford, if he won, he'd have to win via stoppage because it's really hard to win a decision against Canelo because there is, whether you like it or not, there's a Canelo curve. Canelo gets gifted rounds that he doesn't win. There's been a number of fights I've watched with Canelo where, look, the Triple G fight in 2017, he didn't win that fight. He did not win that fight. Triple G won that fight pretty much in almost everybody's opinion. He did not win that fight. And I remember that card very, very well because I was actually in New York City going to see the Yankees play with my stepmother after my father had passed away because that was a trip that I was going to take with my dad, but he passed away a month earlier. So I remember it so well, and my stepmom and I are at the bar. My stepmom doesn't know crap about boxing, but she knew that Triple G won the fight until we heard a split draw. And you're sitting here like, this is craziness. How the hell does Canelo get all these rounds when you could only probably pick out 3 max that he won. Maybe 3. If I remember correctly, I think I may have had it 118, 118, 110. Maybe it was 117, 109, 117, 111. But in this fight, it was very similar. You're saying, and I watched this fight with my wife and my kids, and I'm telling them how I'm scoring the fight. And all of us think Crawford's winning. All of us think he's dominating. And all of us are still waiting to see if he has the cardio to go 12 rounds like this. And you get to round 7 and round 8 and round 9. And you're like, yo, he's got the cardio. He's moving at the same exact pace he was moving in round 1. I thought Crawford won the first. I got it on my phone here. I thought Crawford won the first 7 rounds. I know the people on TV have their opinions. I thought Crawford won the first 7 rounds. And then I thought Canelo won round 8. I thought Canelo won round 9. And then I thought Crawford won 10, 11, and 12. You know, that was pretty much all I thought that Canelo did in the fight. And then you get the cards and you hear 116, 112. But then you hear 115, 113 twice. You're like, oh my God. First, please don't tell me that they gave Canelo 8 rounds. But even beyond that, you're sitting here saying they really, really, really tried to fuck Terence Crawford out of this fight. And these are well-known judges. And I understand it's in Allegiant Stadium. It's in a place where the majority of the crowd was Mexican, cheering on Canelo Alvarez. I get all that. But you can't be so easily persuaded by crowd noise that whenever Canelo throws a fucking punch, the crowd goes crazy and have that type of be easily swayed like that. Because when you saw the fight cards after the fight, 5-5, it was even on 2 cards going into round 11. And Crawford had to win both rounds to win the fight. Look, if he splits 11 and 12, we would have had a majority draw. That's what we would have had. We would have had a majority draw if they split rounds 11 and 12. If one has a split and the other one, and let's say Canelo wins 11 and 12, then Canelo would have won the fight. And I mean, going into round 11, I had Crawford up 8-2. But again, the Canelo curve exists. The fact that you could have Canelo up even in that fight at after round 10 is craziness. And I'm reading stuff from people saying, oh, Crawford was running away. Man, Crawford out-threw Canelo. He outlanded Canelo. His power, I don't think Canelo was prepared for the power that Crawford had. And he was chasing Crawford. That was one thing that I noticed. Remember, there was a fight here. I don't know if it was the Charlo fight or whatever. Let me see what fight it was. Can't remember which fight it was. I don't know if it was the Charlo fight or one of these other fights that he had. maybe it was the William Skull fight. I'm not sure if maybe it was the William Skull fight, but there was a fight that he only threw like 8 punches around. I think it was the Skull fight. And he complained about Skull running away. But Canelo wasn't throwing punches. He wasn't throwing punches in that fight. And he's sitting here complaining about the guy running. Dude, he threw more Skull threw more punches than Canelo in that fight. He threw more punches. But Canelo's complaining that he's running away. Well, you're not throwing punches. And that's one of the things that Canelo frustrates me. I mean, he's an amazing, amazing boxer, but he says some stuff at times that's just like, you sound like a diva, bro. Like you sound diva-ish. Because he's moving around. The idea is to not get hit. It's boxing. It's not a street fight. It's boxing. So I'm watching Canelo reaching, and he knew he was losing. He knew he was losing. He's reaching, he's frustrated, and he's getting hit with counter shots coming in. There was one shot where you see where he gets cracked and his face goes like that. Like you can see Canelo getting very, very frustrated in this fight. Terence Crawford was flat out better than him. Amazing performance by Terence Crawford. Now, there are other questions that now come up. Again, I think they tried to fuck Terence Crawford. They really, the judging tried to stick it to him. If Canelo had gotten that decision, or if there had been a split draw, there might have been a riot on Saturday night. There might have been a riot because there's no one in that building that thought Canelo won that fight. Although I do see idiots online that are saying he was running away, showing punch stats, blase, per round. You know what I think of punch stats? I don't give a shit about punch stats. I'm watching the fight. You know how many fights Canelo doesn't throw and yet wins? The last fight against Skull, he didn't throw and he won. He won a fight throwing 8 punches around, something like that. It was some ridiculous number. He landed like 8 punches around. I think he threw like 10 punches around, 10 to 15 punches around. Like that's, and he won that fight. I watched this fight. Crawford dominated this fight. Crawford was incredible in this fight. I would love to see a rematch. I'm not going to bullshit. I would love to see a rematch. I'd love to see if Canelo can make adjustments to see if he can somehow turn the tide. I don't know that he can, because what the biggest concern I had for Crawford was, one, can he take Canelo's power? He did. 2, does he have the cardio to go 12 and be able to keep moving and not become a stationary fighter? He did. Like, so the 2 main things, taking the power and moving for 12, no problem. And I think his power surprised Canelo. Now there's other questions that come up. Sorry for the coughing, folks, because I'm still getting over a cold. Max Kellerman asked the question about these guys if they're going to retire, if this is their last fight. How in the world, why in the world would Terence Crawford be looking to retire? Because he won the biggest fight of his life? So he doesn't want any more challenges? I know he's almost 38. He just beat the stuffing out of Canelo Alvarez. He just dominated Canelo Alvarez. Why would he retire? In fact, he should be asking for a rematch because he just made $50 million from what I've read. He'll make $100 million in a rematch. You don't think Canelo Alvarez wants a rematch with him? I absolutely believe he would want a rematch with him. And you know what makes Crawford so G? There was no rehydration clause. So if Canelo weighed 167.5 at weigh-in, you can bet your ass he probably weighed close to 190 going into that fight. And I don't think that Crawford probably weighed more than 170. It was a tremendous performance. Crawford, to me, he showed me something that, and I knew he was great. Look, I've known that Crawford was great, but making a jump like that, and I don't think he looked that great in his fight at 54, which is another concern I had. But as you got closer, I could see a possibility of the man winning the fight. I just still picked Canelo. I wish I had picked Crawford and put money on Crawford because it was a nice betting line. But end of the day, you know, he proved something that a lot of people, in fact, most people didn't think was possible. I think even the people that believed or said publicly that they thought Crawford would win just said it because they wanted to say it. They wanted to look like they had some knowledge that other people didn't have. I don't know that they really believed it. Because a lot of people that I know that always cheer for Canelo all of a sudden became Terence Crawford fans. Interesting. I will say this, and I'll leave it with this. I think Terence Crawford is the greatest fighter I've ever seen. And I've been watching boxing since the mid-'80s. And I've seen Sugar Ray, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, My favorite boxer of all time is Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. in his prime was the most incredible boxer I've ever seen in my life. But the thing is, once Roy Jones Jr. turned 35, he started getting knocked out. Terence Crawford is almost 38 and just had the biggest win of his life. It's incredible. The way he decimated Errol Spence. Like, what he's done is incredible. 3-time undisputed champion in 3 different weight classes. That's utterly amazing. 3-time undisputed champion. First time ever in men's boxing. I know Clarissa Shields going to jump up and say, not in boxing, in men's boxing. Like, nobody cares about you, Clarissa Shields. Take a fucking breath. Go sit in the back. Nobody cares about your 17 fights against the lollipops and podunks you fight. There's no competition in women's boxing. You're bigger, you're stronger, than faster than everybody. Stop it. Like, enough of trying to try men in this sport. If you think you can go beat Terence Crawford, go fight him, which we know you have no shot in shit. But to do that, amazing. And there are people that will say, oh, Floyd and dude, Canelo Alvarez after the fight said that Terence Crawford is better than Floyd Mayweather. He fought them both. And Canelo today is a better fighter than Canelo was when he was 23 years old, when he fought Floyd Mayweather. Absolutely better. Canelo at 168 is a better fighter than when he has a 147 or 152. Because they didn't fight at 54. Remember that. They fought at 152, a catch weight. So, yeah. Man's the greatest fighter I've ever seen. What he's done is amazing. And again, Roy Jones, for me, in his prime, the best thing I've ever seen. But at 35, he got knocked out. And then he got knocked out again. Crawford's almost 38 and still doing this shit. It's amazing. Remarkable. Remarkable. I'd like to see Crawford keep fighting. I'd love to see a rematch. Because I don't know who else Crawford can fight, if it's worth his time. And I really don't know what else there is for Canelo to do. But asking them after this fight, if you're going to retire, why would you ask that? I mean, Max Kellerman, to me, he was rust. He had ring rust, because listening to him in the commentating, wasn't impressed. But listening to then these questions post-fight, you just got a spectacle, and you want to have them quit? It should be, do you want a rematch? Do you want to do this again and make more money? Or who's next, Terence Crawford? Do you want to fight Bivol? Do you want to go fight at 75? Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Terence Crawford, as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest fighter I've ever seen. And his resume speaks for itself. Speaks for itself. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is Combat Corner, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.
The game with the people that writing the rules. Ain't the fame that I'm after when paying the dues. I've been through the pain that's reflected in the attitude. Might be winning now, but the thing is that I had to lose. So go and tell me what you really want to do. And lonely at the top, cause there ain't a lot of room. Ain't no other option, that's all I ever knew. So I'ma get it poppin', you know how I'ma do. I've been down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. I've been down through the blood and the sweat, and I ain't close to being done.